Now you could just go in and do a plank. You could go in and do a plank. You could come down on your elbows and see how long you can hold your plank. You could do that. If you want to hold a full-length plank, you can hold a full-length plank. You can do that also. And of course, that would be longer than 60 seconds. And your fourth component is cardiovascular, which means aerobic. How much breathing can you do? And you pick your place. You pick something that you can measure. 3 times around the park, 4 times around your block, it doesn't matter. But you have to do the same distance. If you have a track like us outside you can use the track, that would be great. But you have to use the same distance to do it. You may jog it, or jog it. It's up to you. You have to figure out in there. But I want you to time it so you can see how long it took you to do it. So if the first time you do it, it's like 12 minutes around one time, then write that down. It's 12:45, it doesn't matter. And write down what you did. Did you walk it? Did you jog it? Did you jog the whole way? So that's giving you a base, and we're hoping that tennis helps you improve all of this that you've done on the base, and that you see that all of this that you're doing fitness-wise would help you. This is in lieu of us doing a fitness test, and in lieu of you sending me in a health questionnaire, in lieu of you, because we're not doing all this face-to-face. But I need for you to know that fitness is a huge component in tennis. Okay, having said all of that, that's your first thing you're going to be doing. We've talked about the grip. Now let's talk about warming up. You always want to, no matter what activity you're participating in, to warm up. Some type of warm-up, and usually some type of warm-up that befits the activity that you're doing. So that's why I said I'd like for you to warm up with your racket. Now, it doesn't hurt to warm up anyway, period. And you can warm up on the courts. Preferably, since we have certain court time, you probably want to do most of your warm-up before you get to the courts or sometime during that day. And again, like I said, I'm going to start up and go down, but you can start down and come up. So I like reaches and stretches to start off with. Just stretching up and a little back. Make sure your knees are soft. Inhale up. Exhale, stretch back. Make sure your knees are soft. Do this about 4 times. Again, you don't have to follow exactly with the video. There'll be another video that I send out later on that talks about all the warm-ups for all the strokes. This is important to do overheads. This is important to serve with, that you have upper body stretching, and that you have stretching through your shoulders. So again, soft knees. Inhale, exhale. We're going to stretch across. So this is lateral stretching side to side. Inhale, exhale. I call it sometimes side body. Again, one more time, each side, obliques, stretching. Now you're not collapsing when you stretch, because there'll be a lot of times where you have to come back and around and use your backhand for something high. You'll have to come back and around and get your arms back around you when the ball is really high. So you need to be able to keep yourself upright and not collapse into your core. So we're going to add a little rotation with this, because we always rotate. We're going to inhale up, and we're going to turn and rotate. And I want that back foot to come with you. Too many people do this and turn, and then they wonder why their knees hurt. So inhale, exhale. Anytime you turn, remember, rotate your legs with you. Don't let them stay in concrete still, because that's where you're going to get in trouble. Plus, if you rotate and turn, it's easier to keep view of the ball in tennis. So we've got these going on. So now, a little bit of opposition, yin and yang. So I'm pulling down with my racket while I'm pulling back with my opposite arm. Again, still soft knees, not locked up or bowed. And then that gives me some more side body shoulder stretch. Inhale, exhale, up and over. So now I'm going to bring it down to about shoulder height. And again, add a little bit of rotation with it. A little pivot and turn. And you've noticed I'm still working on my grip. I've still got my grip. Just reinforces, especially at the first, your forehand grip, it reinforces. Because a lot of times if you turn and hold your racket the wrong way, sideways, and before you know it, you're hitting with it like that. So this just helps you at the first while you're learning. Okay, and then I'm going to bring it down a little bit lower. Bring it behind my back, because we always want to remember that when we get ready to pivot and turn, especially forehands and backhand ground strokes, we've got to get our rackets back. So if you're not used to getting back, you have a tendency to just open here, open there. You're not going to get yourself all the way back. So we want to make sure we have that rotation, and we're going all the way back. So now I've got head, neck, and shoulders. I've got all the way down to side. I did a little bit of obliques. Now I'm ready to think about getting my legs going as I go side to side. And this is a tricky position for us, because people sometimes have too small of a stance they think about parallel, or they have too wide of a stance. So I always have everybody, the very first, get in just a parallel position and see how hard it is to take off from a parallel position. Then do just the opposite, get really wide and see how hard it is there. So you have to find your magic spot. Mine's about right here. This is my magic spot. It's really easy for me to take off right or left or go forward and back. If I get too narrow, it's not going to work. I'm going to trip over my feet. If I get too wide, oddly enough, my center of gravity is too low and it's too hard to pivot and turn. So from here, you can start off, you can still fold your racket in front of you. We're going to find that magic spot that we have, and we're just going to work with squats. And I'm usually pretty particular about squats. I know you can squat straight down, I know you can squat deeper leaning over, but you will never get that low in a squat in tennis. Plus, it takes the pressure off your knees. So do not be dropping your seat down below your knees, and don't be lifting your heels up. Try to keep as much surface area as you can, because that's where your power comes from. Your power comes from the ground in your legs, not your arms. If it came from your arms, everybody's tennis arms would look this big. So power in tennis is from your legs and your body position. Now I want you to hold this. I want you to hold it, be able to hold your squat, and think that this is a position you'll be in when you have to make contact of the ball. This will be a position you're in. So you're going to have to be able to pivot and turn with this position, and pivot and turn with this position. Pivot and turn with this position, pivot and turn with this. And a lot of times what I'll do is I'll make you lift your heels up. So you engage your core. Lift your heels up, engage your core. Lift your heels up, engage your core. Because sometimes when you guys squat, you just forget about all this. It's just out there somewhere. So it's not engaging with you. So this would be just a squat series to do. We need a little bit of lunging because you always have to do an off stride. You want to be sure that you contact the ball with one foot in front of the other and not an open stance all the time. So having said that, let's do our lunge. You can have a little balance if you need to. Use your racket down. And again, make sure your toes always in front of your knee when you lunge. That's important because if you get your knee in front of your toe and not your toe in front of your knee, all the pressure's on your knee. Also, this back leg, see how it's parallel in line? It's not turned out here. That's also going to help with your back knee. So make sure those toes are pointing forward. They're both in line with each other. It was always like walking a railroad track. When I walk like this. I don't walk with one leg back and one leg up. I walk straight in a parallel motion. So as I lunge, I want you to do the same thing. Lunge, make sure you can see that toe's in line, and be able to squat and lift in a lunge position. And just to stretch that one out to see how our calves and hamstrings are doing. And again, you can use your racket for balance, either hand, racket for balance. See how much you can stretch out on your calves and hamstrings. You could lift this leg up on a bench if you wanted to. There's all kinds of ways to do that, and then stretch out. Very rarely do people playing tennis get down on the ground to stretch. It's almost always the same type of stretching that we're doing right now. You'll see guys out against the wall. You'll see them where the benches are. They'll be stretching out their hamstrings. They'll be stretching out their calves. They do it when they get out of the car. People just don't get down on the ground and work on different things like that. So, because you don't do that when you're playing tennis. So you want to do something that's conducive to what it is you're going to be doing as you play. You can take longer than what I'm taking, but at least 10 minutes. Certainly not 2-3 minutes and that's it. So something that gives you a significant warm-up that you're doing. And again, it helps you with your balance if you have your racket stretching out. And I usually follow up with just a rotation through. Sometimes they'll talk about dynamic workout in tennis where they have you actually come out and jump rope a little bit or jog in place. I'm never quite ready to do that right off the bat. So I make sure I go all the way down or all the way up as I start. So all I'm doing is doing just kind of like a fake jog. We call it a prance, back and forth. And then I rotate out and around through that ankle. Articulation, and you know if you have good ankles or bad ankles, reverse it. And then the same thing on the other foot. Really gets all the kinks out, especially if you're somebody who snap, crackles, and pops the whole time. And then I usually just shake them out. Shake out, same thing on your arms. If I need a little bit more hamstring, a little bit more quad stretch, then I'll get over back to one of the chairs or something and put my foot up on the bench, put my foot up on the wall, stretch my opposite up to the side. You know, these are posts over here. We don't have them in here. I can stretch up against the post. I can do a little calf stretch up against the post like this, up against it, back and forth either way. If I needed a little bit more stretch in my feet. And this is something we talked about, and I put in the announcements. You see I'm all dressed and ready to go. I've got my tennis shoes on, which are non-marking black soles. You don't want to wear anything that has black soles that leaves residue on the courts anywhere, whether it's our courts or somebody else's courts, because then it doesn't come off. And you need something that is a tennis shoe. You don't need a boot or flip-flops or rubber sole shoes or something. You need tennis shoes. The kind is up to you, but they need to be supportive and they need to be tennis shoes. You need to wear socks, whether they're short socks or long socks or whatever. You need that, especially with what's going on here in Tennessee, in the state of Texas or New Mexico, Arizona. We're like 1,000 degrees right now. 1,000 degrees we are outside here. So you need to make sure that you have something that's going to give you a little bit of support in your feet. Typically, the temperature on the courts is anywhere between 10 and 15 degrees higher than it is normally. So if they say like what we've had record highs here lately, we had 102 that was posted, then the tennis courts could be like 115 degrees. So you're standing on something that is 115 degrees radiating through your feet. So you need good tennis shoes that are made for that. Shorts, I have tennis skirts that I wear are shorts. Don't wear pants, don't wear jeans, don't wear leggings, don't wear anything that's going to overheat you or inhibit when you're playing. Definitely never jeans. No matter what the weather is, don't wear jeans. If it gets colder, then you can layer on. You can layer on some kind of sweatpants or something warmer over them, but definitely go with what's cooler. And then a lightweight top that evaporates the coolness, that doesn't keep it on your skin. And then I always wear a visor. You can wear a hat or a visor, and I always wear sunscreen, and I always wear sunglasses. So those are things that you definitely need to do. And have extra water, make sure you have it. Right now with the protocol for the virus in place, none of the tennis centers are offering water and ice like they used to. So you have to have your own water. Make sure you have coolers with water on it. Don't bring soft drinks. Don't bring anything that's not water. First of all, they don't want you to have it on the court because if it spills or something of that sort, it's not in a plastic bottle or a container, it will get sticky all over the courts. They will not like you, they will send you away. So bring some type of water container, plastic one you buy, a big liter one you buy, a cooler of some sort with ice in it that you'll need. They also have the neck things out that get cool that you can put around your neck if you feel like you're getting overheated. This is a really rough time of year. July, August, and September all the way to 1st of October are really hot times to play tennis. So most people play early morning because it hasn't quite gotten the humidity then, it's not as hot. A lot of people don't even play late at night because it's still really hot. So watch yourselves. When I'm starting in August and September in class, I have breaks. We'll play for 10, 15 minutes and then we'll take a break. 10, 15 minutes and we'll take a break. So you'll know when you need to take a break. You need to sit down, watch your social distancing. You do not have to put your mask on to play, but you have to have your mask on when you're getting into the tennis centers and when you're going to your courts. And then after that, once you're separated from everybody, you can take your mask on. And obviously when you're on your own, just observe the same thing. If you don't know who it is you're with, when you guys get there before you get ready to play, make sure you still have social distance and you have your mask down if you think you're going to get together. Balls. I'm going to give everybody out a can of balls. I honestly think the ones I'm going to give out are pens. They come from a brand new case. These are already open. There'll be 3 to a can. They always have matching numbers for the can they come in. I've already lost my balls. They always have matching numbers. For instance, these are Wilson US Open 4s is what they are. And that just helps you keep track of the ball. It doesn't mean the ball's any less or any more than what it could be, but it just means it helps you keep track. So if I'm playing with Shane and I open this can of balls, I know that when we're going to play, this is going to be number 4s that we're going to play with. So if my ball rolls over to another court, then I know which one that is mine. Now, we're not so concerned on this right now, like when you guys get out and play, we're not as concerned. But just as far as, you know, what we want to say protocol right now that we're trying to adhere as much as possible, you want really to kind of be in your charge of your balls when you go and you take them away. There's not been proven anything that's going to reside on the felt of these balls. I guess if I rub my whole face on them and everything else, that might be a different story. But I'm just saying there's not a lot. We're just trying to cut down on the number of things that anybody would do, because I would normally be in charge of all the balls when you come to play with us, and then these are on your own to play with. When you pop the top, be careful. It does have a metal thing on it. You could accidentally cut yourself, so be sure you pop the top and throw the lid away. And it should make this big whoosh pressure sound. I don't know if it sounds exactly like that, but whoosh, this pressure sound. And when you open, that tells you that your balls are pressurized, that they're going to bounce. And typically, if you find after a while wear and tear, you hold the balls out about waist height and you let them drop. And if they come maybe at least to your knees or above, then they still got quite a bounce in them. If you drop them, play like I dropped it. If you drop it and they don't bounce any more than that, then that may be time for you to let your dog have them, because they don't have as much bounce in them, and so they're not as lively as they go along. And we'll talk more about that later on too. A quick tip, something I'm going to tell you early, is we're getting ready for the U.S. Open. I still can't believe they're having it. The U.S. Open starts next week. It always starts right before Labor Day, the pre-qualifying rounds, and it's singles, doubles, and mixed, but you very rarely see anything but singles on TV. But they will be on TV because it's in New York. There won't be a lot of people in the stands as far as I know watching. There's a lot of protocol going on. But if you have access to TV, to cable, to any way at all, start thinking about previewing those matches. And like right now, just because of the COVID and everything, they're replaying all matches all the time. So if you get on some obscure thing, whatever, that you can see some matches, just, for your own self, just kind of start seeing some things that you could do for play. Okay, so we've gone through the fitness assessment. I've gone through all the things that we're going to do about playing, the groups that you're in, reading your announcements, your ICRs, that you've got all that down. So you should have every bit of information that you need. I'm going to have attachments. I'm going to have lesson plans weekly that tell you all this. I've already told you about the grip. I've always told you about a warm-up. You don't have to use the warm-up that I do, but you do need a warm-up. So when you know you're getting ready to play, and it would be nice if you worked out on a regular basis, just in general, even if you weren't taking my class, it would be nice to work out on a regular basis to give yourself something to do out there. But all of that's going to help your tennis. Okay, a grip, and I said all this warming up with the grip. So what I want you to do is I want you to take your handshake grip. You've got one of your balls that you already had, and I want you to see kind of what's going on with your grip and a little bit about your hand-eye coordination. So I'm going to turn it over and turn it down. No, I'm going to start with it up because that reinforces forehand. I'm going to start with it up. And I'm going to kind of keep my elbow close to my side, and I'm going to pop it right here in the middle of my racket, just like this. And I want to try to do this. Now I'm watching it. I wish I was cool enough that I could watch Shane and then still pop it in the middle, but I can't do that. But I want to keep it close to my body. And I'm not going to do this right here. I'm not going to go left, left, left. I'm not going to do that. I'm going to actually rebound it off my racket. So this would simulate me hitting the ball. Hit, 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 hit. And you notice I'm keeping it close to me. I'm controlling the movement. And I'm trying to stay right here in the center of my racket, which is my sweet spot, okay? I want you to do that. I want you to see, I don't know if it's easy for you to do by clock, but just start off at 30 seconds. See how many times you can hit it in 30 seconds. Now, if I can only hit it 4, then I have to stop. Well, then that's fine, it drops, and then I stop again. See how many you can hit in a row and keep control of it. And again, if you get your arm way up here and you have to chase it and stuff, it's not going to be easy to do. Okay, so that was with my palm up. Now I'm going to turn it. I'm still going to keep my elbow close, and I'm going to do it with my palm down. For some people, this is going to be easier right here, but it's the same thing. So I've got my palm down. I've been really working on this through the years, so I know how to do this. So anyway, so do the same thing for about 30 seconds. So I've got one palm up, keeping my elbow in with my grip, one palm down, keeping my grip with my elbow close. Now I'm going to put it together. One up, one down, 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 one down, like that. I'm going to do the same thing. So I'm figuring out how to use my grip. I'm figuring out what kind of grip strength, what's my forearm. You guys are going to go, oh, there's just no way. Because you're not used to having to do this. You're just going to do this with your wrist and try to get it. It's like that old game back and forth. But this will help you develop hand-eye coordination, keeping the ball close to you. Plus, it's kind of fun to do to see if you do more than somebody else. Now, this one I'm not very good at, and I've only been able to do it a few times. But anyway, every now and then I will try this one. That was only 2 times. And come back. I should have practiced before I decided to videotape this. So anyway, try this. See how many you can do. Really, 4 is the most I've ever done. So now it's just 1. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Okay, that's it. 5's my record. So you can try that on the edge. And then what that does is it means I got to be here, I got to be here, I got to be here. Now, I want to say that's really advanced. Yes, it is. I don't know a lot of people that can do that very well for a very long length of time, but it shows you how you can go through stages. Okay, so we've got built up all the way. We know our racket. We've done some racket things. So we're going to start